Hey everyone, did you know that over 90% of you watching right now haven't hit that subscribe button? If you enjoy our content, take a second to subscribe. It's free and it really helps us keep bringing you great stories every day. I've always believed the truth has a way of sneaking in when you least expect it. Not like a thunderclap or a flashing light, but quietly, like a draft under a door. That's how it happened to me. How my life split clean down the middle without a single scream or slam. Just a whisper, one I wasn't meant to hear. It was a Tuesday night. I remember because it was leftover pasta night, and I'd reheated the same bowl of penne we'd eaten the night before. Olivia had said she had a work meeting, something about campaign prep. Her boss, Gregory Stanton, was preparing for a congressional run, and she was deep in his inner circle. She'd started as his communications director, but over the past year, she'd become something else. I just didn't know what until that night. I didn't mean to listen. I'd come home early, traffic had cleared faster than expected, and I was tired of my own company. When I pulled into the driveway, the lights inside were already on. I figured Olivia had just gotten back, maybe changed her mind about dinner out. So I parked, quietly shut the car door, and went around the side entrance, the one near the laundry room. That's when I heard her voice. Low, hurried. She was in the kitchen, phone on speaker, pacing. I stood frozen just inside the mudroom, back pressed to the wall, not out of suspicion, but instinct. Something about her tone made me still. I know, Greg, she said, her voice tight. But you said your wife was going to the fundraiser in Chicago. I thought we had tonight. A long pause followed. Then his voice. Deep, familiar, rehearsed. I'd only met him twice, both times when Olivia hosted events at our home. He'd shaken my hand like he was squeezing the life out of it. Now that same voice came through the phone, softer than it ever was in public. I didn't plan on this either, but she's watching everything now. Ever since the campaign announcement, she's been more alert. Olivia laughed, but there was no humor in it. You think I'm not alert? You think this is easy for me? His reply was low, but I caught every word. You're the one who said you wanted this. If you're having doubts, I'm not, she cut in. I just want to know where I stand. If this campaign takes off, where does that leave me? There was silence, long enough to feel like a slap. Then Greg said, exactly where you are. In the shadows. For now. I didn't hear the rest. I didn't need to. My ears rang with it, my brain refusing to absorb what my heart already knew. Olivia, my wife, having an affair with him. Of all people, him. Gregory Stanton. A man who shook my hand in my own house and thanked me for sharing Olivia's talent. I backed out of the mudroom without a sound and sat in my car for over an hour. I didn't drive anywhere. I didn't cry. I didn't even curse. I just sat there staring at the dashboard, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. She came out later, looking like nothing was wrong, said she was tired from meetings, kissed me on the cheek, and went upstairs. I followed, mechanical, showered, changed, slid into bed beside her like I hadn't just overheard the wrecking ball that crushed our marriage, but I didn't confront her, not then. Maybe not even now. Something inside me cracked, but it wasn't rage. It was something colder, a sense of clarity I hadn't felt in years. She'd made her choice. Now I'd make mine. The next few days passed like a fog. Olivia kept her usual schedule. Long hours, political dinners, urgent calls at odd hours. I played the part, made her coffee in the morning, kissed her goodbye at the door, told her to kill it at work. And every time I did, I felt like I was holding a snake behind my back. I started watching him, not in person, just online. Every article, every video, every post. Stanton's campaign was gaining traction. He was the golden boy of the new guard. Clean record, family man, polished smile. Married to a philanthropist, father of two. If only the public could hear the way he whispered to my wife behind closed doors. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the truth. That was the difference. Revenge is messy. It's emotional. It burns everything in sight. But the truth? The truth is like sunlight. It disinfects. I started small, dug through Olivia's old emails, ones she thought she'd deleted. She was sloppy, like she thought I'd never suspect. There were messages, some professional, some not, traced back months. Lunch at places she never mentioned. Strategy meetings that didn't line up with his calendar. I cross-referenced them with public appearances, campaign videos, and press releases. There were gaps, patterns, proof. I even found a picture, a blurry shot taken at a charity gala in March. Olivia standing too close, his hand on her back just a second too long. It was subtle, but once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. I started documenting everything, a folder on my laptop, a private drive, password protected, notes, screenshots, recordings. I wasn't sure yet what I'd do with it, but I knew I'd need it. I'd never imagined myself as the kind of man who snoops, who spies. But when you're forced to live in the ruins of what you thought was real, you start building something else. A way out, a plan. And then, 2 weeks after I first heard the call, I got my chance. Olivia came home late again, said she was working on Stanton's campaign launch party. I offered to help. She looked surprised, maybe even touched, and handed me a flash drive. Said it had a draft speech and some confidential strategy documents. Just don't open anything marked red, she joked. She went upstairs. I waited 5 minutes, then opened the drive. Most of it was boring, policy points, demographic breakdowns. But then I saw it. A folder labeled Private-G. Inside, audio clips, not public speeches, private ones, practicing, talking to himself, talking to her, and one file in particular. olmidnightcall.m4a. I played it. It was them. A conversation from just a few nights earlier. His voice, raw, unguarded. I can't keep doing this, Liv. I'm up for national scrutiny. If this gets out. Her reply, firm. Then don't let it get out. Just don't pretend you don't want me. I stopped it there. I closed the laptop, sat back, and breathed. Now I had something real. Stanton wanted power. Olivia wanted him. And neither of them thought I mattered enough to see the collateral damage. But I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to break dishes or storm out. I was going to wait. And when the cameras were on, when the banners flew, when the perfect American family stood on stage for the world to see, that's when the truth would come out. Not with fire, not with fury, but with clarity. Let them watch it all unravel. Quietly. I didn't sleep much after finding that audio file, not because I was afraid of what I'd discovered, I already knew, but because of what it meant. Proof, not just suspicion. The kind of evidence that doesn't bend under charm or explanation. The kind that shatters facades. I'd always thought betrayal would feel like a knife. But for me, it felt more like slow erosion. Like someone had been quietly digging beneath my feet for months, maybe years. And only now had I realized the ground beneath me wasn't solid anymore. Olivia didn't notice the change in me. Or maybe she did and didn't care enough to ask. She was too consumed with the campaign. Gregory Stanton was launching his political tour across the state, and she was tasked with managing media coordination. Every day was a flurry of meetings, press releases, and interviews. She barely looked up from her phone at dinner. One night, while she sat across from me scrolling through emails, I studied her face. Not like a husband studies his wife, but like a stranger studies a map. Trying to remember where I'd taken the wrong turn. Her eyes didn't sparkle anymore, not around me. Her laugh, once spontaneous and full, was measured now, reserved for others. I didn't hate her. That surprised me the most. I just didn't know who she was anymore. So I stopped trying to fix what was already broken and started preparing. Quietly, carefully. I began reaching out to people. Old college friends in journalism, a former neighbor who worked in digital media. Not with accusations, but casual curiosity. Hey, you ever dig into campaign strategy leaks? Just wondering how something like that plays out. Most of them shrugged it off, but one friend, a guy named Ethan, bit. You've got something? Something real? Maybe, I said. I'm still figuring it out. He offered to talk off the record, no pressure. I didn't give him anything concrete, but the way his tone changed told me enough. Political scandals weren't just clickbait. They were currency. And Stanton? He was the jackpot if someone could prove he wasn't the man he claimed to be. Still, I wasn't ready. Not yet. This wasn't about publicity. It was about timing. I needed to understand Olivia's role, how far she'd gone, how entangled she was. And so I listened to her phone calls when she thought I wasn't around, to her restless sleep where she sometimes muttered his name under her breath, to the way she spoke about him, not like a colleague, not even like a lover, but like a believer. He wasn't just her affair, he was her ambition, and that's what hurt most. Not the betrayal of the body, but the betrayal of dreams we once shared. The future she once saw with me had been replaced by a future with him, and all the power that came with it. One morning, Olivia asked if I could drive her to the campaign's regional office. Her car had a flat, and she was already running late. I agreed casually. We rode mostly in silence, but just as I pulled into the lot, she turned to me and smiled faintly. "You've been quiet lately. Everything okay?" I met her gaze. "Yeah, just work stuff." She paused. "You'd tell me if something was wrong, right?" That question hung in the air like smoke. I wanted to say, "Would you?" But instead I just nodded. "Of course." She leaned over and kissed my cheek. "Thanks for being steady." Steady. That word followed me all the way home. That afternoon, I opened a private notepad file on my laptop and typed just one sentence. Steady doesn't mean stupid. I knew what I had to do next, but I didn't want to destroy her. That wasn't the point. I didn't want headlines. I wanted truth to stand tall and unshakable in front of both of them, without screaming or spectacle. That night, I sent Ethan a message. "I have something. Are you free this weekend?" We met in a quiet coffee shop, away from the city, away from any chance of someone recognizing us. I handed him a flash drive. "No names yet," I told him. "No articles. Just tell me what you think." He listened to the audio on his laptop with earbuds while I sipped bitter coffee. His eyes widened halfway through, but he didn't say a word until the end. "This is huge." "I know." "You want to go public?" "Not yet, but I want him to know I know." Ethan nodded slowly, reading between the lines. "So you want pressure?" "Leverage. Call it what you want. I want truth in the room when they make their speeches." He offered to run it through some legal friends just to make sure there were no privacy violations. I appreciated that. I wasn't trying to break the law, just the illusion. When I got home that evening, Olivia was already there, sitting on the couch, a glass of wine in hand, laptop open. "You're home late," she said without looking up. "Ran into a friend. Lost track of time." "Anyone I know?" I smiled gently. "Not anymore." She didn't push, just sipped her wine. We were two actors playing out the final act of a very polite tragedy. The next morning, I received a call. Unknown number. I answered. A pause, then a familiar voice. "Mr. Taylor?" It was him, Stanton. "May I call you Daniel?" I kept my voice even. "You already did." He exhaled. "I think we should talk. In person." "About what?" "You know what." He offered to meet at a private office downtown. I declined. Suggested a diner near my old high school. Public? Neutral. He hesitated, then agreed. When I walked in, he was already there. Dressed down, no entourage, sunglasses on the table like he still expected paparazzi. I sat across from him and didn't speak. He broke first. "I didn't mean for this to happen." "Then why did it?" He looked away out the window. "I care about her." I nodded. "And your wife?" "She doesn't know." "She will." He flinched. "Are you threatening me?" "Number, I'm giving you a chance to walk away from her, from the lie." His jaw clenched. "You think this will destroy me?" "No," I said softly. "I think you already did that to yourself. I'm just showing people the footage." He leaned forward. "You want a divorce? A payout? Is this about money?" I laughed, quietly. "It's about honesty. Something your campaign talks a lot about." He was silent for a long time. Then he said, "You do this, and you take her down with me." "I know." He looked genuinely rattled. "She doesn't deserve that," he said. "No," I said. "She deserves the truth." I left him sitting there, staring into his untouched coffee. When I got home that night, Olivia was on the phone, pacing again. I just saw him, she whispered. He knows. I don't know how, but he knows. I stood in the hallway, out of sight, and closed my eyes. She was unraveling, and I was still steady. That weekend, Stanton canceled a major press event. His team cited unforeseen family obligations. Olivia stayed home for the first time in weeks. She was quiet, distant. Something had shifted. On Monday morning, I found her in the kitchen, staring out the window. I think we need to talk, she said. I nodded. We do. She turned, eyes watery. Did you know? I do now. She swallowed hard. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I said nothing, let her sit in the silence. I was going to end it, she said, after the campaign. I nodded again. But you didn't. Her voice cracked. Do you hate me? No, I said. I just can't trust you. And that, more than anything, seemed to break her. I don't know who I am anymore, she whispered. You will, I said gently. But it might not be with me. I left the room, not in anger, just in truth. That night, I emailed Ethan. Get the story ready, I'll tell you when. Because it wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about ruining her or him. It was about reclaiming something that had been quietly stolen from me. My dignity. And soon the world would see the truth for what it was. Not loud, not cruel, just honest. I didn't expect her to leave that night, but she did. No bags, no long explanations, just her keys on the counter and the soft thud of the front door closing behind her. And suddenly the silence wasn't heavy anymore. It was honest. I stood there in the kitchen, hands on the counter, breathing in the stillness. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even feel triumphant. Just still. Like the house had taken one deep breath and exhaled a secret it had been holding too long. The next morning, Ethan texted. Stanton's team is in full lockdown. Something's brewing. Should I move? I stared at the message for a while before responding. Not yet. Let him sweat. I wasn't looking for chaos. I wasn't trying to burn anyone's life down. I just wanted the truth to make it to the stage before the lies did. Later that day, Olivia called. I'm staying at a friend's for now, she said. Her voice was small. I figured. I'm sorry. I didn't say anything. I know it doesn't mean much, but I need you to hear it. Still, I stayed quiet. I don't expect forgiveness, she added, but I do want to be honest. Finally. I waited. I loved him, she said. Or maybe I loved who he made me feel like. Important. Seen. Was I not enough? I asked quietly. She sighed. You were everything I asked for, but somewhere along the way I started asking for the wrong things. And that, in some twisted way, was the most honest thing she'd said in months. After we hung up, I sat in the living room with the lights off and stared out the window for a long time. Across the street, kids were playing in their yard, chasing each other around with foam swords and plastic shields. Laughing, untouched. I used to think love was enough to keep people from hurting each other, but now I know it's not love that prevents betrayal. It's the choices people make in its name. That evening, I opened the folder on my laptop again. All the files were there, audio clips, a few blurred screenshots, notes Ethan helped clean up, a timeline that made sense. I clicked on the draft headline of the story Ethan had mocked up. Behind the curtain, the private conduct of a public candidate. I read every word. Not once did it mention Olivia's name. I'd made sure of that. The story focused on Gregory Stanton, his campaign's claims about values and family, his public speeches about integrity, and the private behavior that directly contradicted them. There was no cruelty in the article, just facts. The truth, plain and calm. I stared at the send button for a long time. And then I didn't click it. Not yet. Instead, I picked up my phone and called Olivia again. She answered after 2 rings. I'm not putting your name in the article, I said. She was silent for a moment. Why? Because you're not running for office. He is. She exhaled. Thank you. I didn't do it for you, I said honestly. I did it for our history, for what we used to be. I understand. And I'm moving forward, I added. This isn't revenge. It's release. The next morning, I met Ethan outside the newsroom. He looked at me with a question in his eyes. Are we doing this? I nodded. Yeah, but keep her out of it. Promise me. You got it. The story dropped 3 days later, and it exploded. Not because it was scandalous, but because it was surgical. Every claim was backed by documentation, every quote contextualized, every assumption checked twice. Gregory Stanton issued a statement within hours. It was vague, full of political smoke. He called the allegations deeply concerning if true and promised to review the matter thoroughly. The press didn't let up. Neither did the public. And within a week, Stanton's campaign was on hold, pending a reevaluation of internal leadership. He never mentioned Olivia, and neither did the media. She texted me a few days later. I saw the article. Thank you for sparing me, even though I didn't deserve it. I wrote back, we all get to decide who we are next. After that, we didn't talk much, just the occasional email about bills or logistics. A few weeks later, I filed for divorce. She didn't contest. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't bitter. It was quiet. Like the last page of a long book you don't reread but never really forget. I kept the house. She moved into a small apartment closer to her sister. Last I heard, she was freelancing. No campaigns, no spotlights, just writing. Maybe that's what she needed all along. A place where truth didn't have to perform. As for me, I started going for walks in the evenings again, just around the block at first, then longer. I even joined a community group that met at the library twice a month. People talking about local projects, volunteering, just living. No one there knew what I'd been through. No one asked. And that was the beauty of it. I didn't have to explain. I just had to show up. One evening, a woman from the group, Amanda, I think, asked if I wanted to grab coffee sometime. She smiled when she asked. It wasn't flirty or pressured, just human. And I said yes. Not because I was ready to fall in love again, but because I was finally okay being alone. And that somehow made me open to whatever came next. Life didn't